Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. It's raining a lot here, and that's really makes me really happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How are
Um,
you?
I am great. I had some friends over for brunch and it was been a really nice morning.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I am Andy. We've met many
Yes.
times.
Yeah, at a rise. Also,
Yeah.
most recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really super stoked to be able to actually have the chance to interview you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, um, as you know, I have two daughters, and I've been thinking a lot about childhood and child rearing and these things. And I am really curious about your experience as a young child. I'm wondering specifically, like, your caregivers, be that your parents or teachers or grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever really was very influential to you, were they very supportive of your creative pursuits? And how so?
Yes, they were. I have amazing parents. And when I went to a Waldorf kindergarten, and the first grade teacher, they weren't really so stoked about the teacher, and so they decided to just pull me out for 1 year to homeschool and to just try that out. And then they asked me at the end of that year if I wanted to go back to school or if I wanted to homeschool, and I was like, I want to homeschool. And then they ended up homeschooling my brother and I through both of us up until high school. Um, and it was our choice. We loved it so much, and I think a massive part of the homeschooling process for us was they always were inviting us to follow our curiosity and our creativity. And so I remember pretty vividly a period of time where I got obsessed with ancient Egypt, and my mom would take me to the library and I would just look up books and books and books and do all these studies around Egypt. And it was kind of, we were just really encouraged to go where our curiosity led us. And we also had just instruments all over the house, so they really encouraged us to do a lot of music making and listening to music and a lot of creative writing. That was a big part, was we were constantly writing these creative stories. And it was really, I look back at that time and I feel nothing but joy for the learning process, because
Awesome.
it was just, the idea, I think the philosophy behind it is, rather than imposing learning on us and telling us to learn certain things, they really were inviting us to go where our interest was. And of course we were keeping up with math and all the things that our peers were doing, but for the most part letting our inspiration guide. And so it to me, learning feels creative inherently. That's my experience of it. And I had to relearn that after going to a public high school and then a private university, and kind of feeling what everyone else feels about learning and about all of that. That it can be the way the system and standardized schooling has been woven through history has made it kind of a one-size-fits-all thing that can feel quite oppressive to a lot of different children and adults. And so I've been, in my adulthood, I've been relearning that amazing, wild curiosity way of learning again. And that has been a big part of my creativity unfolding, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that is such a much more natural way to learn, and I kind of was guessing that you maybe had that kind of experience. I don't know that someone so creative and just like your style, I find your music to be very poetic, and I don't and so it makes sense that you had a lot of like creative writing. And I remember a couple years ago, I think, or maybe it was just last year, 2 years ago, but you did a workshop in Boulder, Colorado, around how you write your songs that I came to.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the song exactly that you were using as an example, but you were talking about like how you like the sounds of these different words together. And actually, one of your songs, well, I mean, every song is my favorite song, and they all have been so impactful. I mean, it's like really, like, so many of your songs have been so impactful to me, but I'll just pick this one out, the Tightrope Walker. I remember having particularly an experience with my partner where we both just, like, we sat and we held each other and we were just weeping, and it was just like medicine for the soul in this very sad but sweet way. And that, I would say, poetry kind of goes over my head in terms of the different various artistic forms. Like, I always have struggled with understanding sometimes what is meant, what the message maybe was intended to be. And so I'm kind of wondering, around Tightrope Walker, like, maybe what was your inspiration, or what does it mean to you? What message were you trying to kind of send with it?
Yeah, that song is such a riddle to me, because it was such an evolution, and the first part of the kind of word riddling that happens in that song at the beginning, the ricochet pine cone, riverside elderberry, underwater rushing tightrope walker, that those first verses came years and years and years ago, and actually hearing your experience with your partner and just the emotion, it made me think about, like, I feel like there's such magic that I don't even really understand about what goes into words and music and just any creative art form, that you have no way of knowing how energetically it's imprinting itself in those words. Because in that moment when those words came, I was going through a lot of emotion and a past partnership ending and all these things. And so it's just interesting. I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, wow, what went in there? But then the melody, I had originally sung it as this kind of like goofy, I don't know, it's a totally different melody. And I decided one day to sit down with the piano and started playing it on the piano more slowly with a different melody. And it just completely, the whole song came through then, the rest of it. And yeah, it's been a riddle to me that has actually, I feel like I understand more about that song every time I go out on the road and share it for a bit. It's like it unlayers itself. And I think with some songs, you know, the meaning is more overt, and you're like, I know what this song's about. And others, yeah, they have varying degrees of crypticness, I guess, or just not trying to be cryptic, but just the way they come through sometimes is more of a riddle. And I feel like that one is particularly a riddle. And I even name it in the song because I was in the riddle as I was writing it. But to me, that song has taken on a whole meaning around knowing when to take an in-breath and when to give an out-breath, and when to share the insides of ourselves outside, and when to take the outside into us. And it's kind of, you know, the lines in-breath, outside, and all of that. I feel like that, just those lines have taught me a lot, actually, from that song. And also the idea of the tightrope walker, to me, it feels like that middle way, that, you know, the razor edged sword, or in Buddhism, that kind of like, I use that, I'm trying to think of the words that are used, like the razor path, I think it's called. But it's this idea of like, we can constantly be pulled off, but what does it mean to actually walk in true alignment with our soul, and surrendering, and also in right action and willfulness, and just that balance of energies that we constantly get to choose, and what we're letting lead. I think that, all of that is in that song.
Absolutely. I found myself right as you're even saying, like, when to take a breath, I took a breath. I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
I love breathing when I perform that song. I love at the end of it. Getting to sing the end is really fun.
Yeah.
I feel really connected to everyone through breath, through all of us breathing. It's really special.
Would you say that is true for that song more than other songs? Like the
I think
connection and
so.
the
I
breathing?
think each song has its own way of connecting. And so that one really, like by the end of the song, it really gets quiet. And I'm just singing in breath outside, out breath inside. And I can feel myself breathing in and out. And I let my body even do that. And then I can really feel everyone. And it, like we all just get kind of more quiet by the end of that song. And it feels, I love those moments. I love those moments when I feel myself and everyone just like, oh, we're all here. Like remembering that we're all here in that one moment is really nice. And I think that, yeah, different songs do that in different ways. Some through like ecstatic screaming or or like, you know, I've had so many shows, especially recently, there's something new happening at the shows where everyone, like at some point or another, we are all singing together, like the whole room. And it is so amazing to hear everyone singing so fully and just to, yeah, I feel like there's such an opportunity at live performances for us to do something. And even if that's just a little thing inside us, like maybe leaning into a fear or letting some tears out or feeling a connection to our inner child or whatever it might be, but there's such, so much can happen. And so, yeah, it's fun to feel how each of those songs want to do that, do different things.
Do you believe that your songs are truly changing the world?
I feel like, so that's a very interesting question, because I think that when I connect to the reflections I get from people and the amazing notes and letters and comments and just all the things, then yeah, I do feel that very much. And then there's like the ego side that we all get to work on in ourselves, and I happen to have a lot of learning with self-doubt, you know, and just getting to trust myself, I guess. And so it's kind of a sweet, tender question, actually, I feel, of feeling like the parts of me that don't know or want to do more, I think, because I feel very, like, the most fulfilling thing to me is to feel like I'm doing good or helping.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to doubt that, I think, or want it to maybe be more helpful or go farther or something like that, to really reach the people that it needs to reach. But yeah, when I just take in the blessings of what's happening with this music, then yes, definitely. And I feel like these songs, they have a life of their own, and I don't even take credit for half of them. You know, I feel like they really are given to me, it feels like, and so it's my job to give them. And they have, a lot of them have really powerful medicine, I feel, like a lot of heart medicine, and innocence medicine and wonder, and I know I have that too, but I also feel like I get given that by the songs, you know, and so I feel very honored to get to share them.
That is just such a modest approach to kind of take, I think, from my perspective, to hear you saying you don't even take credit for half the songs. It's like you're this conduit that's just delivering and making available to the rest of us something that we couldn't access on our own.
Yeah, well, I believe we can all access it. I think that's part of I don't know, that's definitely something I believe in, is that we all have access, but we've all forgotten, because so much has covered over our ability to access whatever our information way is and our creative way is. And so a lot of the songs are I feel like they kind of help us all remember. They help me remember too. Like my songs are quite a lot more evolved than I am as a human. And if I could actually live by every word that I sing, then, well, I guess that's a goal. I have. But, you know, I fall into self-doubt, and I totally fall into ego. Like you said, this being a modest approach, like I feel like it's almost an agreement I have with my muses that, you know, if I start thinking that it's all about me and I'm supposed to like get well known and I want to be exalted as an artist or something, then it's like the brakes go on. Literally, the brakes are pulled. And then the second I remember that I'm in service to this and to the opening of human consciousness and love on this planet, and in service to the planet herself and all beings, like then it feels like everything opens, the way opens. So I have a commitment of staying in that right relationship that I have to keep up.
Whew, yeah, I mean, isn't that the struggle?
Yeah, it is. And we're distracted all the time on all sides. Every moment we're distracted into something that helps us forget that.
Yeah.
And helps us makes us think that it's about us, you know, and not only that it's about us, but that we're separate. And so I think I feel that changing now. I feel so much art and so many people out there are really like putting all their mental and physical muscles and emotional muscles towards remembering, towards really trying to not be sedated and not forget. And so it feels like it's like a form of warriorship, you know. It's a battle in a way. Absolutely. To stay awake and aware on planet Earth right now for what's going on. And so I think for me, my goal is to wake up every morning and just really right now just to remind myself of what the real goal is and not get distracted by my silly little robot phone and all the things in that digital world, you know, because it's so distracting.
Yeah, I just, in what you've been saying, the word that kind of keeps popping up into my mind is perspective.
Yeah.
Just so much perspective, because it is easy to get really self-centered, I find for myself, and kind of live in this little small world, and I need things constantly to give me perspective.
Yeah. That's cool. I think that, it's kind of like, all the different ways that we get perspective. And I feel that a lot with the songs. Just different point of view happening.
Yeah. And okay, so, on the topic of perspective, I guess this is sort of on the topic of perspective. I have been thinking about how, like time is kind of just the concept of time is sort of like subjective. Like it feels like different activities and things, I feel like having kids, I feel like I'm in a time warp, and like 6 hours will go by and it will have only felt like 2 hours, or the other way around or something. And how this can happen to us in a variety of different settings and under different circumstances. And I'm kind of wondering, just, like if you were born in a different time, either in the past or in the future, do you think that you would have still been a musician?
I don't know. I think I can imagine it for sure. I guess I sort of believe that the particular lives that we kind of choose or come into, for like that you and I are in right now, and we're all in right now, that there's certain reasoning for not reasoning, cosmic harmony
Yes.
or something meaningfulness to why this moment and why the lives we have and why the people we meet and all of that. And so I guess on one level I feel like I'm supposed to do this for this life and learn the things I'm supposed to learn in the way I'm learning them. And so I don't know about previous life because that would be a totally different context. However, if I was in a really old-fashioned previous life and was a musician, I think I would be a bard because I actually am a bard, but it's not called that anymore. But in those times, I could see, in those days, the Bartok tradition, it was, in a lot of cultures, they were healers, and they would literally wake up one day and they would just have all these songs coming through, and they'd be able to play an instrument or something, and they would just start walking. And I think this is in the Siberian steppes. And then the people that they encountered, they would just stop wherever they went, and people would welcome them in and feed them and give them a place to sleep, and they would sing healing songs, and they would heal people as they went. And it was a very magical way of understanding sound, or I guess not understanding, being given sound as healing, and then in the more, not recent, but like less old ancient times, the druid tradition, I've felt a lot of resonance with the bards of the druids, because they actually wove song spells, and they understood the magic of words and sound, and they actually had the Om, it's spelled Ogum, but it's the old tree language alphabet. And they would actually sing spells that were made of words, that were made of the letters, and each letter is a tree, and the tree has its own medicine. So when you're actually making these sounds, there's like all the medicine of all the different trees as you sing, and they knew how to, shift nature patterns and the elements and all of that. And so when I think about, being a musician in an older time, I think of those. And I don't know about the future. I guess in the future, I kind of think of it as similar, maybe.
Yeah.
But in a new layer, where maybe in the future I'd like to live in, it would be like really clean energy to transport us around, but maybe we wouldn't have such a need to constantly be moving around. So it would be more sporadic and really special when that happens. Yeah. So instead of touring like a couple times a year, you're touring like every 4 or 5 years, and it's just like really special. And we don't have such a thirst for fame and all that. So and money is hopefully irrelevant in that time. And so it's just different, it's kind of maybe going to be more like those old bardic times.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of the definition really of a bard, and it's interesting now hearing you speaking to that, and how you see yourself as a bard now, and like being a healer with the music. I'm like, oh yeah, that's absolutely true in my experience. I think, first coming upon your music through Wild Light, and I think the first time I even heard of you ever was at a show, and I'm like, who is this woman on stage? And having no previous experience of you, and then getting exposed to you through Wild Light, and then through your own Ayla Nereo music, and having just these wild experiences, these intensely emotional healing experiences with these various songs. I mean, and then having to go out, to my friends and my sisters, and being like, you need this medicine, like you need it. And it's been so powerful. And I remember even, that it was a couple years ago when my grandmother passed away, we were listening to Hum, in the car
Oh.
on the way from the funeral to the burial site, and I just asked my mom to put it on repeat. I was like, I need to listen to the song and sing it right now.
Mm.
And
Mm.
yeah, I just can't. I never really understood why or how. But no one else's music is like that for me, Ayla.
Oh.
So thank you
Oh.
for that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so impactful. And
Oh.
whew,
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Yeah, I guess what I could share is that I feel like, as fallible as I am as a human, I do have really strong intentions, and I do understand to some degree the magic of sound and words. And so, without having to mentally know, like, there's no way that I, as Ayla, could consciously create. This is how I feel about it, that I could consciously create a song just with my brain alone, that I could be like, I'm going to write a song that will feel healing to someone in this context or something. It's like there's no way to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so for me, it comes down to intention, and this definitely extends way beyond music, but like, it's not just about creating something, it's about the intention. So when the intention is pure or clear or for healing or something, then what I trust that whatever words or sounds come through are aligned with that intention. And that goes for a lot of things in life, really, like, what is the motivation, what is the intention behind it, rather than the thing itself. And that can often actually be more important than the thing itself.
Yeah.
Because it carries that strong energy.
It sounds like, between intention and trust, there's a lot of trust that goes into your music making. So do you ever have an experience of, like, creating a song or recording a song, and you feel kind of analytically, like, unsure, but that, in your body mind, that you feel really certain about it?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think one way that can show up is if I'm just into, like, if I notice that there's a current of self-doubt running in me in general, in some way or another in my life, then sometimes I will actually step back from finalizing lyrics or something, because I'll know, like, that's not really the energy that can do it. And I'll try and, like, focus on something else to come back into my strength and my listening. But I think as long as my inner frequencies are tuned right, I think that generally, if my whole body system feels good about a song, my mind also feels good about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's more like those. Yeah, there's definitely been some songs that took a while. Like Turning Wake took a long time. That song was like a lot of fine tuning, and I just kept feeling like in my whole body that it wasn't done yet. And then finally, when we recorded, like, the big marching drums midway through and the harp, it was like those two instruments, and then like the last words, and it was just like, then it all just came into place, and you just have this feeling of, like, okay, done. But yeah, it's tricky when it's not quite there, because it's hard to know what to listen to. Like, is this just my brain overanalyzing something, or I've been learning how to listen more to my body than my brain, and it's showing me a lot. It's really helpful.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
We are, as a society in our Western culture, like, very disconnected from our bodies.
Yeah.
Which is not really helpful.
Yeah.
You know?
There's such a good navigation system in the body, in the intuition, and just the kind of yes/no signals. Yeah.
When I was, I feel really safe in my body, and I've always had music and dance in my family as a way of just kind of playfulness. I remember as a kid, my mom, when she wanted us to like kind of clean the house, we would just put music on and dance and clean the house, and didn't really feel so much like a chore. And I'm really grateful for that experience of being safe in my body, because I know a lot of moms, when they are pregnant and they're getting ready to deliver their child, that there's a lot of fear there, a lot of fear of the pain and fear of the process and all these things. And I had to make sure when I was going into labor that I had music available. And I definitely had some of your music. and there was like different times when it was important to have your music and different times when it was important to have different music. And I'm really excited to be able to kind of imprint that into my children's mind from the very beginning. Music is as soothing, music as healing, music as safe. This is a really personal question, so you can skip it if you want to.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you have any plan or desire to be a mom.
I have much like the way I approach songs. I have no plan. I'm open to receiving the yes, if that is meant to be. So far in my life, I haven't gotten a big yes, mostly in my body, because I think partly because I have such a feeling of mothering with the songs. And the creative process is so much like birthing. Like an album is I'm so in the like very pregnant stage right now with this new album. So so it's interesting that way, because it feels similar. So I'm not clear. I don't know, but I do feel the possibility is there, and I know that it would be probably a really amazing journey and really fun. And of course, a lot of work and all of that.
Yes,
but an amazing.
All the things.
Yeah.
Fun for sure, and exciting and beautiful and powerful and empowering and all that.
Yeah.
Actually, if you could go back, if your current self, your present self, could give your child self or teenage self a message, what would you say?
Oh, it's so funny to see what pops in first. So what popped in first is that I would go back to my kind of like beginning of puberty, like teen self, right before I went to high school. And I would just like take her on a journey to different cultures. And I would just be like, trust yourself. Just trust yourself. You don't have to go to high school. Like I literally feel like I would just convince my younger self to just stick with homeschooling, maybe. Or, because, I don't know, ultimately, there's a part of me that feels like everything does happen for a reason, and I learned so much. But I do feel like a curiosity about what would have happened if I had just not done the high school thing, and just like, I feel like I got really distracted because I was such a brilliant, creative child and preteen, and then in high school and college, I just got really bogged down with trying to make good grades and everything, and so maybe I would do that. I would take my younger self on a big adventure and be like, you can do whatever you want. Dream big. Keep dreaming big. Homeschool and travel the world.
That sounds so liberating.
Yeah.
I wish every child could be liberated like that.
I know. I feel that so much. I feel like I don't know how it's meant to unfold, but I really want to help children be free and parents feel empowered to help free their children that way. Yeah. Or keep them free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what can be more free than a newborn human with no preconceived notions or anything?
Yeah. All the little toddlers and 6-year-olds with brilliant, magical ideas for the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if somehow magically the school systems could be like changed overnight so that they were actually reflecting the learning success kind of research that's been done, like how children actually learn well.
Yes.
it would be so cool to see. Yeah, it would just be so amazing to see what kind of brilliant genius adults we would have in 20 years, like helping the planet, really, creating so many solutions.
Yeah, I have these different fantasies of what it would be like for, these different various parts of our system to collapse, and have a complete overhaul, and just the paradigm just completely shifting to the opposite side, or maybe not the opposite side, but somewhere in the middle, and what that would look like.
Yeah. The whole school system, standardized schooling, is based on it was built for industrialism, and the Industrial Revolution, and so it's like it just doesn't fit anymore. But there's such a fear, I guess. It's so I don't know. There's so much. Maybe it feels overwhelming or just too much to change. But the research is just. I mean, it's almost like I studied psychology in college, and I decided to focus on learning because I was so interested in it, being a homeschooler and then going to school, and like the research is literally opposite in many ways of how children are currently learning. Like.
Right.
There's so many pieces of like self-direction is a key part of children retaining knowledge, and there's like no self-direction.
Right.
And just like peer learning is so much more successful, but then we separate children by age, and just there's so many things. So I hope that I agree with you. That would be amazing if like something could break down to make room for some of that research to be applied. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine if you had kids, what your kids would be like.
I know. That's what I think. That's why I'm going to stay open to it, because I think it would be really fun.
Yeah. I've been having some being a new parent, you have to your entire world changes, obviously, but then you have your social circles are shifting, because it's like I have a lot of friends who don't have kids, and then I have some friends with kids that I'm becoming closer with because we have a lot more things in common recently. Yeah. It is really interesting to see how, for instance, I was at a friend's house the other day, whom they have a daughter who is going to be 2 at the end of January, and I come in with my babies, they're just over 3 months, and I set them in their little car seats, and this girl, she just like wants to rock them. It's like just already she's like got that kind of nurturing and curiosity, and it's just super sweet to be witness to. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and there are 3 of us moms there, and then 5 children. And at one point, this young girl I'm referencing, she went outside with the nanny. She's like, "We're gonna go scream." I was like, perfect.
They always know what they need to do.
I was like I love it so much. I was like, I wish I could go outside and scream, because I feel like if I did go outside and scream, it would be an issue. Like people are like, "Oh, don't be just so disruptive." I mean,
crazy lady.
Perhaps like maybe on a mountaintop or in the depths of the forest. I think that's probably one reason why music is so liberating, for people, and I guess I should speak for myself, but I love, love, love to be able to sing along and just dance with my whole heart and my whole body. It's that type of freedom that I think people need.
Yeah.
I know I need it. I need to be able to turn the volume up as loud as I want and sing as loud as I want and sing from the deepest part of my belly and the deepest part of my lungs. And your songs are so singable.
Oh, good.
I pretty much feel like I know most of the lyrics to most of the songs, and then there are some that I don't really know the lyrics, and I'm like, I want to read them, and then I'm like, no, I like that it's a mystery.
That's so amazing because I use so many words. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Do you have a favorite song that you like is your favorite song to perform?
Oh, I know when I get asked this, I don't know how to answer because it changes, first of all.
That makes sense.
Like, I really love doing Little Beckon live because it's such a fun dance song. I love dancing. I'm very excited for the Denver show. I'm debuting some new songs, and one of them, actually, I think it might be my first. I played it in Europe. It's so new that I've only played it in Europe, actually. So it's my U.S. debut of playing this song live in Denver, and it's just so fun to sing. It's like it's an anthem, and dancey, and so I love dancing. The ones that make me dance, and then I think I also love. I love all of them in different ways because they'll take me to a different place. And so depending on the night, some places, it's almost like environments, and so you couldn't really say what's your favorite environment to be in because it's kind of like, well, it depends on my mood and the time of day and
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to your Denver show. I will be there.
Yay! I am too.
Very excited.
Yeah. There's going to be some really fun things with this Denver show too with, of course, Bonnie is playing a set before me, and before her, Leyline is opening. And there's going to be a lot of guest voices in my set as a result. We're going to be singing a lot together, and Bonnie's going to hop in on quite a few songs. And then bringing my drummer, Brian, and then also this amazing artist, Chloe of Intuit Band. She plays cello, so she'll be playing. There's some special guests coming as well. And then I think it's going to happen. There's going to be some really beautiful visual elements as well. Ooh. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm very excited because it feels like a lot of visions are. Yeah. I'm tiptoeing towards bigger visions with this show, so it feels really fun. Yeah.
I think you did a thing at Arise with Chloe, didn't you? In the Sunrise Dome?
Yes. Yes. That's when we met, actually. Yeah.
That was the first
and then
time
she guested with me for a set I did at Sister Wynn's Festival at the end of summer, and then it went really well, so she's going to do even more songs for this set. Yeah, I love cello. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that specific thing because I was, 8 months pregnant with my twins, and I was absolutely not going to camp at the festival. But being that I had also been married at Arise, I'm like, I have to go to Arise. I have to see Ayla. Yeah. We need to be there. And so I remember coming in just for that 1 hour and then leaving immediately afterwards and then coming back later in the evening when it was cooler, But that was, as I recall, being moved to tears at some beautiful music that you did, and also the cello. Why is the cello so deep? It's
deeply emotional. I feel. I love all strings. That's why they're making their way more and more into my production. But cello. There's something about cello that is, it's like the deepest strings. It's just, yeah, it's very watery in a way, kind of pulls out those emotions.
When you first started recording songs, did you ever think that your career would unfold as it has?
No, I don't think so. I mean, when I first saw, songs first started coming, it was a very kind of like mystical process, because I don't even know. It was like I was learning guitar because my boyfriend at the time in college played guitar, and then that summer before my senior year of college, I remember just like letting some little songs come out, but they weren't whole songs. They were just little pieces. And then I just started singing into my laptop because I had GarageBand, and I didn't even have a microphone. I was just singing into the computer microphone. And yeah, it was just such a gradual process of people inviting me to come out of my shell of, being so terrified of singing and being heard at all. So I think that when I started singing and noticing that there was this reaction happening in people, and they were asking me to sing more and more, it felt very encouraging, and it made me wonder. I remember even early on having this kind of wondering of like, could I do this? Like, is this, it felt like resonant in that way of like, is this what I'm going to do? Or what is this, but then it was such a long journey of just like working with all the fears mostly, that I think made it a very slow journey as a result, because it wasn't like, oh, I love this, I'm just going to get out there. It was like, I love this, and I'm terrified of singing on stage. This is really hard and uncomfortable. So, yeah, the journey.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, me too.
Really glad.
Yeah, and I love it now. Now I think I just had to take many, many years to get over myself in that way, because there's, and not in a judgmental way, but just it is ego that makes us so aware of ourselves, that makes us feel so separate from an audience, that makes us so nervous about, will they like me? And I just had to, and still work through those things, but I feel like a lot of it has gotten so worked through that I now feel very excited to sing and to see who's there, and just like feeling all of us together rather than like me and them or something separate,
Like just a really rich, vibrant community.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing and quite magical, I feel, how your music has this kind of impact on a group of strangers. And I'm just like, oh, I just feel so safe and comfortable around all these people. And what a blessing that is.
Yeah.
Like community. And we are together, and we are not separate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I've been thinking about ways to extend that or like grow that part. I think that's like a newer piece for me, because there's something about this journey and songwriting and like my parts, these inner parts of it, that it feels so personal in a way that I think sometimes I forget that, like what you just said, that there's a community of connection happening around the creations and the music, and it would, I'm interested in how that could grow, or how that might want to just be a supportive thing, tribe or something in this world, when I think all forms of that are so helpful. So it's cool. It's really I feel very honored to also be part of that community.
Yeah. It makes me kind of wonder, like, the ways in which I have found your music to be very impactful to me personally, and then how I have spread that to my close community. Like, all the other thousands of people whom you've touched with your music, and what is it, like, how is it like sending ripples through their lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just curious in my mind to reflect on that and be like, oh yeah, like there are these other people, not just people in a crowd at a show, you know?
Yeah.
But this community that just stretches out to who even knows where.
Yeah. It is really amazing. Every now and then, you know, I get little snippets and stories or notes or whatever, people sharing this or that experience in some, you know, part of the world here or there. And it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
It really is magical how we can, I think all of us, I mean, it's varying degrees, right? But all of us are constantly influencing the people that we're either with in person, or if we create things that are recorded, like then those go off and have a life of their own. And it's just amazing to think about all those ripples. Yeah, like you said, the ripples that go out and the ripples of the ripples. And yeah, it's really, I think that's how it happens, though. You know, it's like thinking in terms of also just the whole planetary shift and consciousness evolving and our human evolution. And I think it is actually quite a lot of ripples.
Yes.
Ripples upon ripples upon ripples happening every moment in all of our interactions, including this one right now. And just, it all does good if we have that intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key part, I guess, is what is our intention behind what we're creating every moment.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, it's good for me to remember too.
Well, it looks as though we are coming up to the end of our hour, unfortunately.
All right. This is lovely.
And thank you for speaking with me today.
Yeah, thank you. This was so much fun.
Oh, good.